Law & Order is arguably one of the most iconic TV shows in the history of TV shows. We're all familiar with the telltale dun-dun of Law & Order. It's hard to imagine a world where there is not at least one of its spin-offs on TV, and now finally the mothership returns. Let's take a look at all the Law & Order cast members who have returned to the reboot so far. But first, why was Law & Order given a reboot after 12 whole years? If Law & Order, which had been running since 1990, had been given its 21st season back in 2010, it would have become the longest-running TV show of all time, a title that now belongs to its spin-off Law & Order Special Victims Unit. The reason the mothership of NBC's legal dramas was canceled was rapidly declining ratings, despite its beloved reputation and a fan base that spanned the whole world. So why has it been given a revival? Well, if it had been up to Dick Wolf, the show would never have ended back in 2010. He has always persisted that canceling the show was a terrible mistake and they should bring it back. But a lot of money goes into the production of a show like Law & Order, and Wolf simply wasn't willing to make a new season on a limited budget, noting that making the show in-house was already a stretch. But he never gave up on Law & Order, and this isn't the first time a reboot was in the works. In 2015, a Law & Order miniseries was proposed, but never made it to production. And only last year, Law & Order for the Defense was scheduled to start filming, but ended up being canceled by NBC at the last moment. But nothing could cancel Wolf's perseverance, and it has finally paid off. Law & Order is back and looking more solid than ever. Next, can the Law & Order reboot justify its existence in 2022? A lot has changed since Law & Order was canceled, and although the spin-offs prove that the concept is as popular as ever, there has been soft critique for the end of crime procedurals altogether. There's a gaping discrepancy between the real-life, unjust, and often racist institutions and the on-screen fantasy of the heroic justice system. In a way, shows like Law & Order have established wrong narratives of said justice system's efficacy and fairness, and perpetuated harmful stereotypes. It promotes hyper-competence and justifies the bending of rules. But like we said, the concept is as popular as ever, and despite everything, Law & Order has found its way back onto the screen. And it's not planning on straying from its original, very successful way of storytelling. But if the first few episodes are anything to go by, the show is taking a more thoughtful and considerate approach to depicting the criminal justice system, and there seems to be a little bit more interest in addressing heightened scrutiny for its role in glamorizing law enforcement than its siblings. Of course, there's still a long way to go to close the gap between on-screen fantasy and real-life tragedy, but at least it's a step in the right direction. There's still enough bias left, but it's good to see that efforts are being made to make the show a little less detached from what we all know to be the truth, no matter how entertaining the fantasy is. And now, what is the Law & Order reboot going to be about? The Law & Order reboot is actually a revival, in the sense that it will continue where it left off, with the same familiar and trusted faces that we begrudgingly said goodbye to 12 years ago. It would have been a reboot if the original story had been abandoned and a new cast introduced. Luckily, Dick Wolf never intended to do a show that dirty. This will be season 21, so it's the same Law & Order everyone knows from the first 20 years. There's really nothing to fix, Wolf told Variety. As always, casting will consist of 3 cops and 3 DAs. From day one, the show will heavily rely on good writing, acting, and production values, but especially good writing, with which they will give viewers exactly what they want: a murder mystery in the first half and a moral mystery in the back half. The stories will reflect current events, as we've seen in the first 3 episodes, where the inspiration for the storylines was drawn from the real-life cases of Bill Cosby, R. Kelly, Elizabeth Holmes, and Gabby Petito. As promised, the show has picked up exactly where it left off and will not force us to get used to a major change in format. We can all rest assured knowing that our all-time favorite crime drama is going to be a comfort to fall back into, as if Law & Order was never gone to begin with. Wait up! Next, we're going to let you in on who's going to guest star in Law Order SVU. Did you realize there are still no Funko Pop of the very deserving Law Order SVU? That's about to change. And of course, we're letting you in on who's returned to Law & Order. Let's go. So first up, it's Reggie Lee, who is guest starring in an upcoming episode of Law & Order SVU. Reggie Lee, the grim veteran, will be guest starring in an episode of Law & Order Special Victims Unit. Anyone who has seen NBC's supernatural drama Grimm will remember Lee as Sergeant Drew Wu, an oblivious co-worker of Nick Burkhart, but soon an all-in-the-know member of Nick's Wesson fighting team. But you may also know him from other series like NCIS New Orleans, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, The Fugitive, The Rookie, and All Rise, just to name a few. And if you're a fan, keep your eyes out for the upcoming series adaptation of the legal drama The Lincoln Lawyer, which is scheduled to be released on Netflix somewhere in 2022. Lee will appear in episode 20 of Law & Order SVU and will be playing the father of a missing teenage girl. The mother of the missing girl will be played by Virginia Call, who is best known for her roles in Big Little Lies and Grace Point. Following, Law & Order SVU's Mariska Hargitay is finally getting a Funko figure. Mariska Hargitay has been in the skin of Lieutenant Olivia Benson for over 2 decades. She's played the character in 7 different series across the Law & Order and One Chicago franchises, which has won her an Emmy and a Golden Globe for the role. Not to mention, Lieutenant Olivia Benson is officially the longest-running character of a live-action primetime series in the history of television, with Hargitay in her shoes for 23 seasons. And there's absolutely no reason to believe we'll be able to stop counting anytime soon. There really aren't many things Mariska Hargitay hasn't accomplished through her role as Lieutenant Olivia Benson, except have a Funko Pop figure. But don't be despaired. Stop your emails to make known your feelings on this utter miscarriage of justice. It was discovered by disc trackers that Law & Order SVU Funko Pop figures are currently in development. In specific, Olivia and Finn are planned to be made. Yes, somewhere in the near future, you'll be able to add an Olivia Benson Funko Pop to your collection, but it may be some time before they're actually being released. No official release date is known yet, but according to Amazon Italy, the release could be as late as December 31st, 2023. However, there's no way of telling whether this date is based on any factual information, so keep your eyes open. We might not know when they'll be hitting the shelves. We do know for sure an Olivia Benson Funko Pop will be available somewhere in the future. And now, all the Law & Order cast members who have returned to the reboot so far. So who are the cast members who have returned to the revival so far? Among them is Anthony Anderson, who joined Law & Order in 2018 for its 18th season. Now he's back as Detective Kevin Bernard and still has to get used to his new partner, Detective Frank Cosgrove. Detective Frank Cosgrove is an Irish cop from the Bronx, portrayed by Jeffrey Donovan. Donovan has made appearances on the show twice before, but will now be part of the main cast. Cameron Manheim is another actress who was seen in Law & Order at different times and in different roles, who will now officially be part of the main cast as Lieutenant Kate Dixon. Manheim is one of the many people who started their career at Law & Order and has said that coming back to Law & Order has felt like coming home. And let's not forget Jack McCoy, one of the most iconic characters in television history, with Sam Waterston once again in his shoes to bring him back to life. Brian Keene is a face some will have recognized from various other characters on the show as well, and returned in episode 2, Impossible Dream, and played the victim's father. And seen once before in Law & Order is Marcia Stephanie Blake, returning in the Gabby Petito-inspired episode 3, Filtered Life. And last but not least, Mark Latito, a man who's had many faces on Law & Order and now returned in the season premiere as Alan Connor. And that was it. Have you watched the Law & Order reboot yet? Tell us what you think down in the comments. Thanks for watching.